Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court.
Imagine walking into a store and seeing shelves stripped bare, no phones, no car parts, not even basic medical supplies. On April 19, 2025, China abruptly halted $10 billion worth of U.S. cargo at Shanghai's ports, claiming it was for inspections. But is this just routine checks, or a strategic blow in a rising trade war? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's going on, why it matters, and how it could directly impact your everyday life. We're diving into the facts. Stick around, because what's happening could change everything. Let's cut right to it. On April 19, 2025, Reuters broke the story. Chinese authorities began delaying U.S. cargo at Shanghai, the world's busiest port by volume. The official reason? Tighter inspections for environmental and safety compliance. The reality? These delays are targeting American goods, freezing $10 billion worth of U.S. imports, including semiconductors, EV components, and medical supplies. And this isn't just any port. Shanghai processes 17% of China's total trade and handles over 47 million containers every year. When Shanghai slows down, the entire global supply chain feels it. One logistics expert bluntly posted, "Inspections? Please. This is China flexing its muscle over U.S. tariffs." Another supply chain analyst warned, "Shanghai's backlog is already 20% worse than last week. This is no accident." To put it into perspective, the $10 billion in delayed goods equals about 8% of U.S. monthly imports from China. This isn't a glitch, it's a shockwave, and it's not the first time. Back in 2018, during the U.S.-China trade war, China slowed down shipments of U.S. soybeans and pork, costing American exporters $12 billion. What's happening at Shanghai now feels like a sequel, only the stakes are even higher. Why? Because today's world is far more interconnected, and America depends on Chinese goods even more. The timing here is no coincidence either. In late 2024, the U.S. slapped 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, followed by 50% duties on solar panels and steel. China blasted those moves as protectionist. And now, just a few months later, the Shanghai delays look an awful lot like payback. It's a chess game, and China just made a bold move. You might be thinking, port delays in China? How does that affect me? Let's get personal. The $10 billion stuck in Shanghai isn't just a big headline. It's about to hit your life directly. According to Reuters, the delayed cargo includes 30% of US-bound semiconductors, the brains behind phones, laptops, and gaming consoles, 25% of electric vehicle batteries and parts, powering cars from Tesla to Ford, 15% of medical supplies, things like syringes, IV bags, and diagnostic kits. Let's start with semiconductors. Remember the 2021 chip shortage? It pushed electronics prices up by 20% and left car lots half empty. History looks ready to repeat itself. Some insiders are already warning that iPhone 17 pre-orders could be delayed by up to 2 months, with prices rising by as much as $200. Retailers are also seeing laptop stocks running low. Suppliers are advising that new shipments might not arrive until July. And then there's electric vehicles. The U.S. depends on China for 70% of its EV battery supply, according to the Department of Energy. If delays continue, major automakers could slow down production, prices could rise, and delivery timelines could stretch out by months. Small businesses are already feeling it. Orders for EV vans are now getting pushed back to late 2025, blowing apart already tight budgets. And medical supplies? This could get even scarier. Today, 40% of syringes and 30% of diagnostic kits in the US come from China. If port delays pile up, hospitals could start facing real pressure, just as flu season ramps up. We already saw what shortages looked like in 2020, and nobody wants to relive that. It's not just about goods, it's about your wallet too. The National Retail Federation warns, if delays continue, expect prices on electronics, appliances, and car parts to rise 5% to 10% by June. That's an extra $50 on a $500 phone, or an extra $2,000 on a $20,000 car. And for businesses, the costs are stacking up fast. Importers are facing demurrage fees, charges of $100 to $200 per container every single day their cargo sits stuck. And guess who ends up paying for that in the end? Consumers. To really understand the big picture, we have to zoom out. The US-China trade relationship has always been rocky, but in 2024, things got even worse. The Biden administration sharply raised tariffs, 100% on Chinese EVs, 50% on solar panels, steel, and aluminum. The goal? Protect American jobs and counter China's heavy state subsidies that distort competition. But China didn't sit quietly. Instead of slapping tariffs back, which could trigger fights at the World Trade Organization, they used soft pressure. That's where the Shanghai slowdown comes in. By tightening port inspections, China can strangle US supply chains without technically breaking any international rules. And it's a smart move. Shanghai alone handles about 30% of US imports from China. It's the perfect choke point. Trade experts have been warning about this for weeks. One analyst said, China is showing it can paralyze US commerce without even firing a shot. A former diplomat added, China's timing is no accident. They want leverage ahead of the G20 meeting in May. Even inside Shanghai's ports, the difference is obvious. European and Asian cargo is moving 20% faster, while US goods are stuck. It's deliberate, and it's working. So what's already happening? And what's coming next? Right now, $10 billion worth of American goods are stuck. Major retailers like Walmart, Target, and Amazon are already bracing for shortages ahead of the summer shopping rush. The National Retail Federation says that if delays drag into June, we'll likely see 5% to 10% price hikes on electronics, appliances, and car parts. Real numbers? An extra $100 on a $1,000 TV, or $500 more for a $5,000 engine repair. The shipping industry is bleeding too. Maersk, one of the world's largest shipping companies, reported a 15% drop in cargo moving from Shanghai to the US. And it's not just the big players. Small trucking firms and warehouses are hurting badly. One trucker said he's losing $500 every week because there's no cargo to haul. A warehouse manager said they're still paying rent on empty docks, and it's pushing them to the brink. Small businesses are especially vulnerable. If your containers are stuck, you're paying $100 to $200 per container per day. For a mid-sized retailer with 50 containers, that's $10,000 every single day. Most small businesses can't absorb that. They either raise prices or start laying off workers. And when that happens, entire local economies feel the pain. But the real danger isn't just now. It's the next few years. The US is trying to bring manufacturing back home. The CHIPS Act is pumping $52 billion into building new semiconductor plants. The Inflation Reduction Act is putting $20 billion into new EV battery factories. But those projects aren't quick. Most new plants won't be operational until at least 2027. Until then, China still holds the keys to a lot of what America needs. When you ask experts what should happen next, there's no easy answer. Some say double down, hit China harder with even more tariffs. Others warn that could ignite a full-scale trade war. A 2020 study from Oxford Economics found that if US-China trade collapsed completely, it could cost the US about 2% of GDP every year. That's roughly $500 billion annually. Right now, China is betting that the US needs them more than they need us. And with China controlling 80% of rare earths, 70% of EV batteries, and 40% of US medical supply imports. That's a strong hand. Recent numbers confirm it. Reuters reported that EU-bound containers from Shanghai jumped 20%, even while US shipments stalled. China's economy is staying strong, tightening ties with Europe and Asia, while the US scrambles to adjust. And this isn't new. In 2019, China restricted rare earth exports, spiking US tech manufacturing costs. In 2023, they cut gallium and germanium shipments, key materials for chips and solar panels. Each time, it was the US that took the hit. But the Shanghai slowdown? It's bigger, affecting a broader range of goods and showing just how dependent America's supply chains really are. The US still has options, but none of them are simple. Diplomatically, the G20 summit this May could be a chance. The US might offer tariff relief in exchange for smoother port access, but any concession risks looking like weakness, and China knows it. Another option is rerouting cargo through ports in Japan, Singapore, or South Korea. But that would drive up shipping costs by 10% to 15%, and those ports simply can't match Shanghai's capacity. Building new trade ties with countries like Vietnam and Taiwan is another long-term play. Taiwan already supplies 60% of the world's semiconductors.
But replacing China isn't something that happens in months. It'll take years, and China's influence across Asia runs deep. Bottom line, this Shanghai slowdown isn't just about shipping delays. It's a major strike against US trade, and it's already reshaping prices, supply chains, and businesses everywhere. Today, we broke down why it's happening, what it means for you, and what steps the US might take next. But this story, it's only just beginning. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you stay ahead as it all unfolds. Drop a comment below. Are you already noticing higher prices? How's it affecting you? With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.